Good evening, Bayview Mac race fans. I'm Dobbs Davis, giving you the first of several race analysis videos that we're doing here with the 101st edition of this great race. I'm going to open the show with this view. This is the website. I am on the browser version of the YB Tracker software. If you go to the website and just click on this tab up here with tracking, this will give you this page. Now, what's interesting about this year is there's two ways to view this race. There is the new viewer software, which is this. And this is what this looks like. I personally haven't really, this is brand new to me, and I don't think it has all the same features that the old software uses. So I'm going to revert over to that for these shows. Simply because I find it a little easier to navigate, and I think there's a few more options the others doesn't have. So here is one thing, of course, it's different than last year, is we don't have all the boats on the same race course going along the shore. We've reverted back with this race to having two course areas, one for the faster boats in the fleet, the Cove Island course, and the other, the shore course, reserved for the smaller and slower boats in the fleet. So let's go to Cove Island. Here's our opening screen. I'm going to take you through a brief tour of what some of these controls mean for those that haven't used this before. And again, this is the browser version, so keep this in mind. Zoom controls are here. Those are quite handy. You can grab the screen and drag it around with your cursor. And what else do we have? One thing I like to see is this here, toggling wind data. The predict wind gives you a matrix of little arrows that give you the wind vectors. I'm going to be using this one, the Windy app. That what that does is plot out wind speed vectors and give you some color shading and a little bit of graphics to give you a sense, excuse me, visually of what the fleet is seeing out there. The colors also of the shaded colors indicate wind speed. So blue or light winds. The scale for that is down here at the bottom of the viewer screen. So blues are in the 0 to 8 knot range. As you get into 10 to 20s, it's in green. If you start seeing oranges, that's in 25. Quite a lot of wind. We don't see any oranges, but we do see quite good velocities out here in the middle of the lake. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. The other feature is this, toggling tracks. You can have no tracks at all, or the tracks that the boats were in the just past hour or two. And then these are the full tracks to show what they've been doing since the start of the race. I'm going to keep it on that because I think it's useful to help tell the story. Over here on the left side, excuse me, are menus that show what the teams are that are on the Cove Island course. This is listed alphabetically and gives you the colors of each team. If you click on one of these, they'll center themselves and be highlighted in the middle of wherever they are amongst that pack. And I think you just click it again to click that off. Leaderboard, we're not going to talk too much about that now. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later because that has to do with ratings and how that's calculated. But that's kind of useful. At least it gives you a rough idea of who's doing well within each of the classes that are on this course. The other key feature is this scroll bar at the bottom. This will take you back in time to where everybody started from the start of the race. And in fact, and that you can scroll around and drag and see how they got to where they are now. So let's start our story today with that. Why are these boats going in straight lines up the race course? Well, the answer is simple. The wind is allowing them to do that. We've got really very, very nice, fresh southwest wind conditions. My guess is 15 to 20 knots. I don't have any exact data, but just looking at the speeds of these boats and knowing a bit about these boats, they're going quite fast, and that they can only do that downwind under spinnaker. So Starting off, everybody heading out to the lake. My guess is this is starboard jibe because as you can see here with a couple of boats, they're zigzagging back, which means that they're jibing over to port to dig in a bit. Rum line is over here. Boats are tending to favor staying on starboard, at least initially, with a few checking back into the middle of the course. There's one jibe there. The leaders, of course, are the GL52s. So Heartbreaker, Natalie J, and Mockingbird. Those guys race against each other all the time. My guess is that they'll be stuck together tactically for most of this race. Hooligan isn't a GL52. They don't race on the combination of inshore and offshore races that group does. They often do races in Florida and the East Coast. It's much more of an offshore oriented team. So I would suspect that they're not going to be tactically tied up together with these guys as much, but we'll see. Obviously, early stages in the race. And that's one thing to point out too, is because of these conditions and everybody going fast and going to the same place, I think we'll see a lot of tactical attention paid between members of each class and who they're with, and thinking a lot about that, because this race is off to a very nice fast start. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little, go a little forward in time. So one of the things to notice on this time scale is where they are at that moment. So this is 15:51, so 3:51 in the afternoon, and we keep going forward. Looks like somebody's dropped out here. Talisman going in, it looks like. Hopefully they haven't broken anything or hurt anyone, but that's the only reason I can see for them going in. A couple of other boats too heading that way. There's another jibe, the Hooligan jibing back. Now we're starting to get into some tactics here. These boats have converged back towards the rum line. And then you wonder, okay, well, why are they positioning themselves here? Excuse me. Is there stronger breeze perhaps over here off this point on the Canadian side? What is driving them to do that? This will be a combination of things. All these boats have routing software. I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. That's going to be based on the weather forecasts and details of the weather forecast, where the next shift might be coming from, and therefore positioning themselves for that, or honest differences in pressure. You know, there's going to be a little bit more pressure over here, so they feel like that's going to be advantageous. And then here we are now. So 7 o'clock in the evening, and Natalie J has taken the lead, early lead that Heartbreaker has had, but that could easily change. These guys will be tied together for sure for the entirety of this race, I predict. But right now, Dr. Phil is doing a good job and with his team going up there. Other crowns are over boats like Chuck Storms, who's got his Italia 9.98. They're going 8.3 knots for a boat that size, 36 feet, cruiser racer. That's really good breeze out there to allow them to do that. So that suggests to me, you know, wind speeds must be, excuse me, in the high teens, if not into the low 20s. So fantastic, great start to this race. We don't have this year any really super large boats, because those are the ones that get the course records when you get conditions like this, and you keep an eye on them. But I'm not sure that we're going to see quite that much. The forecast going forward is for this great southwest strong breeze. In fact, here's another toggle. We could look at that. So let me scroll out and show you what at least what predict wind thinks is going to be happening. And this is at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Those greens have gone away. You can see things turning blue, and also wind directions shifting from what was southwest down in this part of the course to more of a westerly direction. it's no surprise this is following more or less the axis and the geometry of the lake itself. So up in this part of the lake, the breeze will generally favor the directions of the shorelines. So as the teams get up here and get to that Cove Island gate, and they round that point, they'll be headed off toward Mackinac Island, and they'll be going upwind. So those very high speeds they're enjoying now will not be the case tomorrow. When will they get up here? Yeah, it'll if the breeze continues the way it is now, that could be sometime even pre-dawn. But I think this breeze is probably going to back off a bit. I don't always. I mean, again, I've scrolled backwards a little bit here, and that's 6:30 in the morning. Again, don't really know. It could be the actual breeze is outperforming this forecast, in which case they'll get up here quickly. But this gives us a general idea that looking ahead in the next day or two, that wind will be likely going light. Now that's a bit dangerous looking. Tomorrow midday, a big patch of blue. That's not going to affect these guys as much as it will affect the shore course fleet. So let's switch over to them and see what's happening on their side. This is a separate race. It is scored differently. Not surprising with this strong wind direction, and with this course geometry, everybody's sticking pretty close to rumline, favoring being up and reducing the distance as much as possible. Now that's not a mark, by the way. That's just a construct that YB is using to show the course in a broad scale. But so minimize the distance. Way to do that is head along the shoreline if you have the breeze, and that's what these early class leaders are doing. So there's Utah J111, Chico 2, the Turbo 1D35, all these boats 7.8 knots, over 8 knots on Utah. So those are pretty solid speeds for boats that size, and they're going to be making great progress. The question, of course, is what's going to happen tonight. Later tonight, will they have this breeze? Let's toggle the wind again. If you believe this, the answer would be yes. That's going to be real high-speed sailing for them. They, of course, are not at the same angle as the Cove Island group. These guys are more solidly at reaching angles. So that means really good high-speed, fast racing for them. The question, of course, is what's going to happen later tonight and into tomorrow. So that's 9:30 tonight. Is it real? Yeah, hard to say. They're still going to be down in this area anyway, but this big hole that's developing here is a bit of a worry. So we'll see what happens with that tomorrow. Well, in any case, I'm going to wrap that up for now. Hopefully this gives you a good idea what's happening out in this edition of the race, 101st edition of the Bayview Mac. I do want to thank both our National Fleet Services, the presenting sponsor of the race, but also Van Toll and Vitelli Insurance Group for helping support this series of race analysis shows. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Dobbs Davis, and we will talk to you tomorrow.